first time in a long time, we got to talk baseball, and it's not about the start of the season. Major League Baseball is holding its draft this week, and Royals beat writer Lynn Worthy checks in with SportsBeat KC, the Star's daily sports podcast, to discuss the team's first two selections. It's Thursday, June 11th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Those picks are Texas A&M left-handed pitcher Asa Lacy, taken number 4 overall, and Baylor shortstop Nick Loftin, the number 32 overall pick. Lynn breaks down those selections. After a break, you'll hear from Royals Assistant General Manager for Scouting, Lonnie Goldberg, and General Manager Dayton Moore on the selections. And hey, so I lied a little bit. We actually do talk a little about the baseball future. But here we go with Lynn Worthy talking draft. Hey, Lynn, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was. So we're in between draft times for the Kansas City Royals. They had their the Major League Baseball draft started on Wednesday evening, and it continues on Thursday. We're talking on Thursday morning, and the Royals have 2 picks in the fold. Number 4 overall, they selected Texas A&M left-handed pitcher Asa Lacy, and with the number 32nd pick, they took Nick Loftin, a shortstop from Baylor. So they were in Texas colleges for both picks. Let's start with Asa Lacy. Did the Royals think that he was going to be available to them at number 4?
No, and I mean, truthfully, at the top 3 picks sort of blew up everybody's mock draft. Because even when I did a projection of guys who could be available at 4, I left Lacy out of it because I didn't think there was any chance that he would be there at 4. Because you knew Spencer Torkelson would go first. Projections had Lacy going to the Marlins at 3, and so you knew they'd still have a pretty good player because they only left one person to go at 2, and even with 2, there was some speculation that Baltimore might go for somebody who was under slot, which is their GM had been with Houston and ran their draft, and they'd done that regularly with their drafts in Houston, so you thought that might happen. But then once Torkelson went, and then Baltimore did go Kirkstad, I think is how you pronounce it. And then Miami sort of shocked everybody by going Max Meyer, who signed for a little bit under slot, reportedly. That left the Royals with Austin Martin and Asa Lacy as options. And in a lot of third-party rankings, those 2 guys were like 2 and 3, or some people even had Martin as the top prospect, but those guys were top 3 prospects in this draft in most rankings, and both of them fell to the Royals at 4.
Yeah, that was you're right. The number 3 pick by the Marlins, Max Meyer, the right-handed pitcher from Minnesota, University of Minnesota. That's the one that that sort of tripped things up early in the draft. And I was just reading some comments, and you'll hear those comments by Dayton Moore and Lonnie Goldberg here after you and I talk, that they were they didn't go to bed the night before thinking that Asa Lacy was going to be available to them, or Austin Martin, really, the shortstop from Vanderbilt, available to them at number 4. So tell us, what are the Royals getting in Asa Lacy? He's put obviously some great numbers, and I respect numbers that come out of the SEC. It's the best conference, top to bottom, in college baseball. Shortened season, of course, this year. But tell us a little bit about Asa Lacy.
Yeah, he's a big left-handed kid from the state of Texas. 6'4", 215 is what they list him at. Throws his fastball gets up to about 98, they say. They grade out for, depending on who you ask, 3 or 4 plus pitches. It's fastball, slider, changeup, curve. And the curve is the one that I think some places have is maybe just a tick above average, where the other ones are a little bit better than that. But he was regarded by a lot of people as the best pitching prospect in this draft. And I mean, I think Lonnie Goldberg last night used the term no-hit stuff, talking about how good he is. He had 4 starts this year, and he had 10 plus strikeouts in 3 of them, including one where I think he struck out 14 in like 5 innings. So, I mean, he's just, Tim Corbin, the Vanderbilt coach, who's, had more success than just about anybody in the last 18 years at Vanderbilt, said that's one of the best left-handed pitchers they've ever had come in the SEC in his time. So, this is a guy that people think could be a frontline pitcher potentially if he reaches his full potential.
and he follows in a line of recently drafted Royals pitchers, right? I mean, they're looking at, we're looking at Brady Singer and Daniel Lynch and Jackson Kowar and Bubik, and it just seems like that's been a Royals emphasis over the last two or three drafts.
Yeah, I mean, Dayton said it before that it's all about pitching when it comes to being able to build a team to compete for championships. You've got to have pitching and not just a little bit of it. I mean, like you look all around the game, and especially in the minor leagues when you're talking about prospects. I mean, if you think you've got 10, then you might really have two or three. I mean, like that's just how it works out because of injuries or ineffectiveness or something goes wrong or just that's just the way it sort of unfolds. I mean, it's rare that all the guys that you think you have that are starting quality pitchers turn out to be that. Um, so you've got to load up on them. And yeah, the Royals, I mean, you've got their top four pitching prospects are basically knocking on the door to the major leagues already. We saw them in big league camp this year. And now you add Lacy, who, even Moore says, Dave Moore said was a guy they thought could move quickly through their system, when there is an actual minor league system to speak of. But
Right.
so I mean, it's moving towards it's all part of building towards being able to build a championship team and having enough pitching to sustain that. And then also the fact that Dayton said it flat out last night, like if they have to go compete for these guys as free agents, then they can't get those guys. So you've got to get them in your system.
Right. Not the first time the Royals have gone to Texas A&M for an early draft pick, even for an early left-handed pitching draft pick. Jeff Granger was picked by the Royals in the first round, number 5 overall in 1993. Didn't pan out for him as a major leaguer. He did come up and pitch in the majors briefly, and I actually covered his major league debut at Kauffman Stadium, but that one didn't work out. Maybe this one will. Let's talk a little bit about Loftin, the Baylor shortstop. The thing that strikes me is the guy's versatility. How many different positions he plays.
Yeah, he in college he was mostly a shortstop, even though he started in left field, I believe, his freshman year before he took over the shortstop job, like midway through his freshman year. But then he played on Team USA and started at 5 different positions for Team USA. I believe it was short, second, third, left field, and right field, if I'm remembering correctly. But 5 different positions. He's a solid. He's one of those guys who's solid all around. Like he's not a tool that necessarily jumps out that everybody says that's going to carry the day, but he's definitely a big contact guy. He's one of those guys who puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out often at all. And he was about a 300 hitter throughout his collegiate career. And they feel like there's still more to come for him. I mean, I think somebody on the conference call mentioned with Merrifield, and Lonnie didn't shoot that down. He said he felt like that was a pretty good comparison because of the versatility, because they feel like there's still more of a ceiling with the bat, and just because of his intangibles.
Yeah, it's Merrifield type versatility with all the positions that he plays, and he was the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, named that. So highly regarded college player Nick Loftin, out of Baylor. All right, Lynn, can't let you go without. Of course, the draft is going to continue today, and you and I will talk again early next week on baseball. And I hope that we can talk about a planned season. We'll get into that more next week. But what's the latest you're hearing on the restarting baseball, and how many games do they play? When can it start?
Well, the commissioner made a pretty clear statement last night that they're going to play baseball one way or
He
another.
did, didn't he? Yeah, he
So
did. 100%, I believe.
that's right,
He left it.
100%. And I'm not a mathematician, but that's pretty high as far as I understand it, as far as
Yeah.
percentages go. So yeah, but and now the commissioner has the leeway where he can basically impose a season and basically say, okay, according to the agreement that they reached on March 26th with the prorated salaries, you can just say, okay, we're going to play 50 games. You guys will get your full prorated, and that's going to be that. I think they would like to have sort of a more in the spirit of cooperation, something
Yeah.
that's between the Players Association and the Major League Baseball owners, an agreement that's probably. I mean, I think the last proposal was. 89 games, I think was the last proposal that came
Yeah,
to the players, from the players to the owners. It's probably going to come in under that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere between 65, 70, but that still remains to be seen. But there's going to be baseball one way or another. It's just a matter of how long the season is going to be. You're still looking at probably 3 weeks of spring training in multiple sites. The last we had heard is the Royals' preference was to do it at Kauffman. That still hadn't been set in stone. You have to go through all the local health hurdles and everything to be able to do that. But yeah, they would still need probably 3 weeks. And so you're talking about earliest, and probably give them a week to get everybody gathered in the space where you're going to have spring training. So probably you'd be in the middle of July probably before you could actually get something going. But if you're playing a shorter season, it's still the idea is you're going to finish the regular season before the end of September so you can finish the playoffs by the end of October and avoid November and potentially a second wave of the virus.
Right. That seems to be something that everybody agrees on, not extending the season past, the typical, end of October, first couple of days of November for the postseason, but also maybe some expanded playoffs by X number of teams. Just don't know that yet. That's another thing that they've got to agree. But of course, the big money for television is in the postseason, and the owners are, I think they want as much postseason baseball as they can get. So kind of a sprint to the finish in the regular season, maybe expanded playoffs, and then and then a month worth of postseason baseball. At least that's what it seems like going into the weekend. And like I said, let's get through the draft, and I imagine this will be a big weekend for discussion on and with some kind of resolution next week, because it's I'm not going to say they're running out of time, because as you said, Rob Manfred said they are going to play baseball, but they've already blown the opportunity to start early in July, right? That first week, and maybe build it around 4th of July, which is a shame. I just thought that would have been a cool thing, and baseball ain't going to be the first team sport back. I mean, there'll be Major League Soccer, and they'll be back in early July, and the NBA. I mean, baseball had a chance to be the first sport back, and they have squandered that.
Yeah, the important thing, I guess, if you're looking at a semi optimistic view, is that they get back in some form. The missed opportunity of maybe being the first ones back and having a period where you were the only show in town, it's hard to measure what that, what the impact of that is. Right. But also, you're probably getting the middle ground, because the idea that they didn't play a season at all would have just been devastating. So you're not getting the best, which would have been coming back and having an exclusive window. You're not getting the worst, which is not playing any baseball at all. So you're somewhere in the middle is what's probably going to end up being.
All right, Lynn, very good. We will appreciate the info today, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
We're obviously thrilled that Asa got to us. We had him ranked as the number one pitcher in the class. We've have a ton of history, and we followed this kid for a long time, all the way going back to sophomore year and then Team USA. And for us to be able to add him in the mix of the group that we've got already, this kid's a power arm with 4+ pitches, incredible compete level. He's an animal on the field. I think he's a really good fit. I think him coming to us is a perfect fit for both of us.
What can you tell us about Nick Loftin? Obviously, he's a versatile guy. There's already been comparisons to Whit Merrifield. How good do you feel about getting him at 32?
Well, we were ecstatic to get Nick down to 32. You compared him to Whit. It's very similar, except for Nick can play shortstop, and he's a very good shortstop. But he has bounced all around the field. Obviously, with Team USA, he played all over. But incredible makeup, very similar to Whit. It's an 80 makeup kid, complete gamer, winner, a guy that can bounce all over the field. I know when you talk to the Team USA coaches about that team in specific, this is the kid that they said might have the best makeup on the team. So we're really happy, really excited that he was there. Again, you're getting an up-the-middle premium position player. We think there's power in the bat, but the things that he brings to the table, the intangibles, the versatility, and we still think there's a lot of ceiling in Nick. And so it was a good day. We feel very happy, very satisfied, and the staff was extremely pleased with how today went.
Hey, Dayton, one more thing. Going into this draft, did you think you could get a power arm like that high? Or you were thinking more offense?
There were some power arms obviously available, Flanny, but with the impact and the experience, the closeness to the major leagues, no. I mean, we didn't. I mean, we were more focused truly on the position player crop. Lonnie had given me some intel probably about an hour and a half before the draft, thinking that Lacy and Martin perhaps were going to get to us based on some maneuvering that was taking place ahead of us. And so, we were discussing, what we needed to do with Asa Lacy or Austin Martin, truthfully. And, we even considered Nick Loftin as high as 4. And that's how thrilled we are, about this process. And so I think we made a decision, and actually we made a decision about 10 days ago. We were comparing Austin Martin and Nick Loftin, and we spent a lot of time breaking those two players down and who we really liked. And truthfully, there was a split camp on that because of Nick Loftin's ability to stay at shortstop. And two very good players. When you look at the lack of strikeouts in Nick Loftin and the contact and his approach and the power, there's some separators there that led some people to think that push came to shove, depending on the entire draft, how it would lay out, that Nick Loftin might be good if we could package both of those guys. And so Lonnie's the best. I mean, he's the best at figuring this out. He's nonstop. He's relentless trying to figure out how to get as many good players as we can. And we were sweating it out. We were sweating it out big time on Loftin because it was kind of it was a little bit of just tough to, wondering if he'd get to us. So, but scouting staff did a great job. The communication was outstanding, and we got more work to obviously do tomorrow.
Who's next? Obviously you're not both in the draft room as usual, but how fun was this to do this and kind of feel whatever type of sense of normalcy it felt?
It was, I don't know if it was fun, but it was exciting to get back, obviously, to doing this. And we built up a lot of time and effort to prepare for this as a staff, going back all the way to the finish of last year's draft. And so, Dayton mentioned it before, but the work that the guys have done, especially over the last, probably 2 months to prepare us for something that we've never had to do before, was outstanding. And put us in incredible situations, not only for today, because I can tell you right now, those two players wanted to be here, and there's a reason they're here. So, but it's going to put us in a better position tomorrow. It's going to put us in a great position, in 2 days from now, when hopefully we can continue to add talent to the system. So that goes to the work that the guys have done. And it was, like Dayton said, it was relentless. We still haven't stopped. We got a lot of work to do tomorrow. So we're excited for the opportunity to get back at it tomorrow and then see what we have after tomorrow's when we finish the 5th round.
Hey, Dayton, Lonnie, Seren Petro here from WHB. There's a lot of speculation that because, kind of the last wave scouting circuit where everybody's kind of together and maybe talking around the cages and comparing notes, that because everyone was isolated, that every team might be going down its own road, that there wouldn't be kind of this, compilation list, that everybody would be maybe a little bit more unique in their evaluations because they wouldn't be influenced by hearing as much from other people. Did that happen? Did you feel like each team, and maybe it's too early to tell till we get a few more rounds under our belt, but did you feel like each team kind of went their own path, or did it seem like it went the way most drafts go?
I haven't gotten a chance to really dissect what everybody's done, but I think it went, especially early on, I think it went the way it was supposed to. I mean, it seemed like the top names of our board continued to peel off, very similar to how they went. I think that, at the end of the day, I think when you get certain guys that see a certain player and across the country and some didn't, I think that will take shape. I think that's going to take shape probably early tomorrow. So I do think they kind of peeled off the way we thought they would, but I think the fun's going to really start tomorrow.
There was likewise a lot of speculation about, because it's only 5 rounds and the cap on signing anybody afterwards, would there be a lot more maneuvering as far as drafting signable players to have more money to bank for later? Did that effect happen? Did you see more of that going on in this draft?
I don't think so. I don't think it. I haven't noticed it yet, and obviously we don't know what everybody, may be signing these players for. But I didn't see anything that was really surprising. I think the players that went were all good players and highly evaluated players. Maybe the order was a little different, but I didn't see a ton of maneuvering, to be honest with you. And maybe we'll see it tomorrow when some of the guys start to come off that had high price tags. See how many high school kids get selected early tomorrow. That will probably be the tell of it. Maybe some teams that may have saved some money, but I think it went pretty close to script. At the end of the day, it's always going to go back to the evaluations you had coming in and the evaluations that your area scouts and your cross checkers put you in a position to select players, and that goes for every department. And so I think it probably went to script.
Hey, Lonnie, Sam Mellinger, I think this was Flanny's question, maybe like your first or second answer. You said that you thought Lacy was a perfect fit for you and you guys were a perfect fit for him. Can you expand on that a little? Because to me, that means more than talent. What specifically are you talking about there?
Well, we're talking Midwest, and I think just the way we spent a lot of time with him and our guys got to know him really well. And there's a comfort level with the player and the personality of the player and the personality of the team and what we're building here. So his compete level is extremely high. His preparation is exceptional. I think he's going to fit right in with the group that we have already coming through the system. I think all the things that we're doing in player development, he's going to embrace. And so that's what I meant by the fit. And again, when you spend as much time as we did with the player, getting to know him, and there's just a comfort level. There was a good feel. And, I don't know where the text is, but I know he sent a text to somebody saying, this is exactly where I want it to be. And so that means a lot to us. That means a lot that the player we wanted, that we didn't think was going to get to us, ended up where he wanted to be and where we wanted him to be. So that's what I meant by it.
Wait till let me add something to that. I want to add a couple things. And when you get a chance to meet Asa Lacy and Nick Loftin, you guys are going to know exactly what we're talking about. I mean, these guys are absolute winners. They're articulate. They're prepared. Speaking to Nick Loftin tonight, the only thing he kept talking about is how we're going to win a World Series. This kid is a champion. And like Lonnie said, I mean, that's just perfect fits for us. And when you go around and you ask the questions that we asked this year because of the abbreviated evaluation process, and you talk to all the elite veteran head coaches at the major colleges. In fact, Tim Corbin said it tonight. There hasn't been a more impactful pitcher in the SEC in the last 18 years. And that was the common theme of every SEC head coach and assistant coach that we spoke to. We talked to pitching coaches around the league in the SEC and the Big 12 about Nick Loftin, and hitting coaches about Nick Loftin. And as Lonnie said, all the USA people that were with them last year and their teammates, their multiple teammates that they've had throughout the college ranks. I mean, it's these guys are as impressive at this stage of their career as really any two players that we have selected since we've been here in Kansas City.
Hey, Dayton, Cody Tapp, 610. You'd mentioned you thought Asa Lacy was really or as close to the big leagues as he was at 4. Anytime you say that, obviously varying degrees, but does that just mean you see him as similar guys you've taken like Brady Singer or guys, or can he get there faster? Like what's?
Well, look, this guy's stuff is, I mean, it's top 1% of the world right now. I mean, and then you package that from the left side and what he's been able to accomplish, and you look at the strikeout rates and what have you. I mean, it's just a matter of being able to dumb-proof your delivery, make sure you're in a position to field your position well, rather, and hold runners and just do some of the things you're going to need to do at the major league level to kind of slow things down a little bit and put yourself in a position to go deep into baseball games. But I mean, he fits in right with this group that Lonnie has done such a great job and selecting, and JJ has done such a great job developing with Singer and Coer and Lynch and Bubich and Cox. And I mean, I can go on and on with some of the guys, and there's some guys that I left out there. But like I said, these guys blend in perfectly with the group that we have that is ready to transition into the major leagues in the next year to 18 months.
Because of the truncated minor league season, what would be the plan for him now versus how you might have handled a pitcher in the past, you know, considering he's barely pitched at the college level this year?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. I mean, look, the important thing about everything that we're doing at this point forward is just to make sure we keep guys healthy at the minor. I'm talking about our minor league players, major league obviously as well, but as it relates to our minor league guys, and just prepare them for spring training of 2021. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to pit, assuming we have some type of instructional league or Arizona Fall League. That's still to be determined at this time. But we'll evaluate it. I mean, obviously he's going to come in and he'll be assessed, and we'll decide from there.
Hey, Lonnie and Dayton, it's Lynn. Just wanted to go back. You had mentioned that when you thought you'd get Lacy and Martin fall to you at 4. Was there much discussion about what to do there, or with what you guys had already seen from Lacy and the evaluations you'd made? Was that a pretty easy decision?
I'm going to let Lonnie answer that, but let me just clarify what I said. I mean, we found out as the draft was beginning to start that those two players were sliding our way. In fact, Lonnie and I had made an advanced decision actually earlier this morning about what we were going to do if that scenario occurred. And so we had already been through that. It wasn't a surprise to us when we had to make the decision. We'd already made the decision. We just we didn't think it was going to happen, but we already made the decision in case it did. So Lonnie, you can talk more about that.
Yeah, and that was that was something that we were ahead of. We had already decided it. We didn't know that it was going to come down that way, but we made an advanced decision, and our staff had made an advanced decision that that's the way we wanted to go. Shall it happen? And we're fortunate it happened. I mean, we didn't go to bed last night thinking Asa Lacy might be there with the 4th overall pick. So, but to the credit of all the guys and all the work that they did, and the job that Chris Rietzman and the guys have done and our cross-checkers. We were prepared for it and we were ready for it if it happened.
That will do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. A tip of the cap to Lynn Worthy for joining me today to talk Royals. Links to the stories about the Royals can be found in the show notes and always on the True Blue app. Hey, earlier in the episode you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer. It still stands, still a good one. $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage, and that includes Sports Extra on the e-edition. There are more than 30 additional pages of national sports coverage today. Well, here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news features, commentary analysis, the whole bit. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional sports news and business coverage. Details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And whether it's a sports pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best news and sports coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like Sports BKC. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again on Friday.